The GIM Channel podcast, bringing you the big picture on geoscientific information management through interviews and discussions.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of Acquire's podcast, The GIM Channel. This is a special edition of The GIM Channel, which we are recording from Toronto as part of the PDAC convention. I'm Meesha Stacker from Acquire Technology Solutions, and today I'm joined by our guest, Andrew Scott. Andrew is the Senior Director, Digital Mining at Barrick Gold. He's also acting as one of the mentors today at the Unearthed event in Toronto. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are also joined by Steve Mundell, Acquire's Director of Product, who is also a mentor today. Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Meesha. Great to be here.
All right. Andrew, you're here today as a mentor for the teams participating in Unearthed Toronto, where they have 54 hours to develop a prototype solution to the industry challenges which have been provided by Barrick Gold. Why is it important for events like these to run, and why has Barrick decided to be involved today?
So we see these types of events as being, fundamental and contributing to our overall innovation strategy. So one of the key challenges we have as an industry is our culture and some of the challenges that culture provides. So we're using these types of events to sort of challenge ourselves, challenge our thinking, but also help us as an organisation understand that there are different ways of doing things and different ways of achieving things. So we kind of see these types of events as catalysts for thinking. Yes, these guys, these talented young people and teams that are coming from many different backgrounds are going to come up with some really cool solutions, and that is going to be a significant benefit. But in addition to that, we just see that this is a catalyst for new thinking within our own company. And with some of the individuals that are around this event. So if it sparks new ways of thinking within the industry as a whole, that we see that as a positive.
Yeah, that's great. Steve, Acquire's also been a supporter of the Unearthed events for a couple of years now. From your perspective, why is Acquire involved, and what do you think is important to be part of these events and mentor the teams?
Yeah, thanks, Meesha. I mean, from Acquire's perspective, we've been part of or supporting Unearthed now for 2 years. And really our involvement, it comes down to, like Andrew was talking about, supporting the growing or growing a culture of innovation within the mining industry. So I guess what we're looking at there is that there's a lot that we can do collectively, and it takes time to understand how we can do that together and how to develop that. So we sort of see that by supporting the Unearthed, the Unearthed hackathons, is that it gives a more an outlet for these things to happen, so that we can all work out how to actually do it. And so then we're seeing different ways of thinking and different things. So good things will come from it. Also, what it does is it just introduces a number of new people and new startups to the industry, and hopefully from that we can actually realise some new value. So, and in terms of being a mentor here, I think it's just part of giving back to the community and sharing the failures and successes that we've had over the years. And I think that's a big thing, is to try and share how we've done it, so that other people don't make the same mistakes and they can grow from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think lots of the teams are making a lot of use of the mentors here today. There's lots of good questions coming out. Andrew, late last year you also talked at IMARC conference in Australia about some of the challenges the mining sector is facing in information sharing and management. What are some of these challenges that you're seeing?
I think, especially larger organisations, we tend to not share some of the good experiences and learnings that we have across the organisation. We're isolated geographically. We are often siloed from a department and organisation perspective. And so some of the challenges are around, we may have a site that have solved a particular problem that other sites are coming across. And so there's a lot of rework, a lot of duplication of effort. And so I think we don't do as good a job as we can of sharing those learnings. Also to the point around failure, we don't tend to capture the learnings of failure well enough and then communicate that. The other thing is over time, we've worked on problems again and again and again, and with organisational changes due to market conditions, what that ends up creating is, I call them sort of islands of knowledge that are lost sometimes. Now, sometimes we go through a rediscovery and come across results that, of something we did solve and that we're in the process of solving again. And in some cases, we've been lucky to have those insights while we're doing the second round, or subsequent round. So I think as an industry as a whole, we internally we have problems sharing, but even as an industry, we probably due to I think competitiveness and this feeling that we should retain knowledge, that's changing rapidly now, and it's through these types of events realising, hey, if you just opened up and shared a bit, the community can help you solve some of the problems that you've been battling. But also as an industry, we also believe that we're only as strong as our weakest sort of link. And so anything that happens within the industry, there are ripple effects. We're feeling it from some of the situations that are happening down in Brazil with the tailings dams, for example. That has ripple effects across the whole industry. So we as an industry need to make sure that we're all raising the bar and working together. And so there is an element of sharing that needs to happen within the industry. Now that is definitely changing. Go back 10 years from today, and it was a different situation. So I think that's some of the key messages that I spoke about at IMARC. And I think we are moving in the right direction. There's a lot more collaboration through events like this, but also through other open collaborations that are starting to break down those silos between companies, but also between different stakeholder groups. There's a higher degree of conversation, real conversation, between mining companies and equipment manufacturers, between mining companies and regulators, between researchers and mining companies and equipment manufacturers. So the conversation's opening up, and people are realising that through collaboration, true collaboration, we can achieve a lot more, a lot faster.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, it sounds like obviously, the sharing and collaboration is one of the ways that the industry can overcome these challenges. Steve, from an Acquire perspective, what's your point of view? Like, do you see some ways that these challenges can be overcome as well?
Yeah, look, I think the sentiment there around collaboration, open collaboration, is a huge thing. And I guess from a recent experience there, I joined Andrew at a Global Mining Standards group. Got Global Mining and Standards Guidelines group, sorry, and we were, talking as a whole group about trying to advance this idea of interoperability and what's the problem to solve, and that's just a way of sharing our own perceptions and where we are, and trying to define a vision of where we want to get to. And I think that's one of the big parts of trying to overcome the challenges is trying to identify a consolidated or an agreed vision of where we want to get to, so then a program of work or a program of initiatives as an industry to actually get there can be defined, and we can all sort of get behind doing it. And in doing that, you're kind of trying to identify in ourselves, what's there for open innovation, how do we help ourselves in industry versus what's competitive advantage. And I think that's one of the big things that is changing over recent times, and we're all challenging ourselves in doing is going, well, what is our real competitive advantage? And Andrew can probably talk from a miner's perspective, but from a software vendor's perspective, it's a different story as well. As what is competitive advantage for us? That's a good thing.
Thanks for that, Steve. We're nearly running out of time there. I've just got one more question for Andrew. Now that we're going into PDAC this week, what are some of the big things that you're looking forward to seeing at PDAC this week?
PDAC is a wonderful event. It's the major event for especially for the exploration side of the business. And so it's a good chance to catch up with old friends and see where things are happening. But it's one of those events where you can share experiences, and so what I'm looking for is to catch up and see if we can build on that momentum of collaboration and sharing.
Excellent, thank you. That's it for today. Make sure you keep an ear out for the rest of our special edition podcast from PDAC in the Acquire newsroom at acquire.com.au, and tell your colleagues and friends to find us on SoundCloud and iTunes.
You've been listening to Acquire's podcast, The GIM Channel. Find us at acquire.com.au.